Welcome to the Truth About Social Ads podcast, where we talk about everything related to social media ads and give you the truth about what's happening in the world of ads.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Truth About Social Ads, where we sit down with awesome companies that are doing cool things and we chat with them, not only about how they were founded and how things came about with companies, but what they're doing in marketing and just, awesome companies that are doing really cool stuff. We have Julie Denton on the podcast today. Julie Denton-Price is the co-owner of BlueCotton, an e-commerce custom screen printing and embroidery company located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. BlueCotton has been named to the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing private companies in America 8 times and was recently named one of the best places to work in Kentucky. Their ambition for growth is fueled by their customers and desire to mark the movement through custom apparel. Julie, thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I really like, of course, when we, before we have you on, I ask you to send me a bio. And I love the fact that you put in there that you were named one of the best places to work in Kentucky. And I definitely want to get into that because you guys are doing some super cool stuff. When I was kind of doing some research about you guys, I was like, man, that is so cool what they're doing with their employees. But we'll get into that in a minute. Please introduce yourself. Let the audience know who you are. And maybe a little about the company, BlueCotton, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So BlueCotton, we're located just north of Nashville, Tennessee, in southern Kentucky. We're a custom screen printing and embroidery company. We handle all of the production as well as, the sales and marketing, customer service. So everyone is under one roof here. We have 130 very hardworking people who
Wow, that's awesome.
are always thinking about our customer, and through our products, we help our customers mark the moment. So the way I like to talk about it is, well, for one, our whole product is like when groups of people come together, all wearing the same thing, like that's where our product lives.
Yeah.
But also our products are things that people don't get rid of, very quickly. So we just met, but if I said, hey, pause, go get me your t-shirt drawer and bring it back,
Yeah.
I could, put together a pretty interesting story of your life and the things that you hold dear. Because I guarantee you and anyone else who's listening to this have t-shirts in their possession that they no longer wear, but they cannot even consider getting rid of, because that t-shirt is the tangible item that has marked a moment, marked a memory for them. Like that's what they're holding on to. And really it brings about community because there's a group of people who experience maybe the same thing. So that's what we get to be a part of every day, and it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah, you're right. Either that or it's like my wife, she's like, why do you wear the same t-shirt over and over again? I'm like, man, I love this, not this particular one, but I'm like, I love this t-shirt, and I'm very white, black, and gray is pretty much all I wear. But you're right. I think we do hold like a bit of an attachment to t-shirts and things like that. So that's super cool. Well, tell us a little about yourself. And I know you are very unique in the company because you kind of worked your way up in the company. You didn't just found the company with the founders. I mean, you definitely held different positions. So tell us a little about yourself and where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah. So I always like to say that I bought the company I tried to leave. It's very well documented. My partner, Mike's, founded the company in 1991. I was actually a customer of theirs when I was in college. I used to sell insurance. I tried to sell them insurance, and we just kept crossing paths. And so 15 years ago, I joined up with their team. And I thought I would be at BlueCotton for 5 years. I was moving from the sales side to an operations side. The company was just on fire at the time, and
Awesome.
I was really attracted to the culture there. So it was a great move. But yeah, I always wanted to be striving for something and moving forward, and I was started to kind of get a little bit of a discontentment with my job, and so I did try to find other places to go. It never quite worked out, and thankfully it didn't. When I finally shifted my mindset of it wasn't everyone else's responsibility to make me feel a certain way at work, and I just decided to change my mindset, that's when really everything changed for me. I also became a mom about that time, so a full life change. And yeah, I just started really just bringing more of my talents to the table. And, I contributed and didn't expect for people to contribute to me. And it led me to ownership. So I bought in 2019, and then I bought out a major partner in 2022. And from that moment, I didn't want to be like, I just slid into someone's place. I was like, we really
Sure.
need to make a decision of what is Blue Cotton moving forward. Like it's a new day, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so for then, I just knew I was like, if my name is going to be on this, like I want it to be great. And at the time, we were really kind of struggling. It was a very successful company, but we were just kind of in a rut and had been that way for a while. And so I was like, let's start betting on ourselves. Like Blue Cotton is enough to want to give this a go. And so we got really clear about who we were and what we wanted to be for our customers and for our employees. And in 4 years, like we doubled the revenue for the company.
Awesome.
Our turnover rate was 108%. In 2022, last year was 14%.
Wow.
And we are just continuing to attract great talent who are just as motivated to push the envelope and grow the company. And so it's just been the most exciting 4.5 years of my life.
That's
And
cool.
we have, big plans for what's ahead, and we're just excited to move forward with the team we have.
Awesome. That's super cool. So I want to go back to something you said, kind of when you started talking about yourself and the company. You said that you were a customer of Blue Cotton, right? So I did a bunch of research, like I said, and everything that I read kind of said that the company almost started by accident in 1991, right? Where it was like, a couple college kids stuck with like 1,000 surplus T-shirts and a credit
Right.
card, and then began to sell it to college kids.
Yeah.
Is that true? Is that
Yeah.
how it kind of all came off the ground?
Yes, that is true. So my partner was going to be a CPA, and back in the day, as we like to say, he's a little bit
Yeah.
older than me. Then you had to take, your different sections of your CPA exam, and then you had to wait for your results. So they came in the mail. So in the meantime of
Got
doing
it.
that, he got into this investment with T-shirts, and then kind of got stuck with them and had to figure out another way to do it. So this was all just like while he was waiting to move on with the rest of his life,
That's
this
crazy.
started, and then this became the thing that he moved forward with. So it was very heavily geared towards college campuses at the time, sororities and fraternities. And then eventually it grew to like, well, there's more people than sororities and fraternities that
Yeah.
want custom T-shirts. Like it, grows into businesses and churches and schools. And
That's
so yeah,
awesome.
that's how ours started. So I was a customer in 2001. So
Okay.
about 10 years after he had started the business, then
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Wow.
how I got to know them.
So do you guys, so when it started, was it just like, hey, I have all these custom t-shirts, I'm gonna sell them, or was he actually doing custom work for like college students, maybe sororities or whatever back then?
Yeah. So it did start out with like an investment that didn't turn out how he planned and had to get rid of those, but then started working into the custom part of it. Didn't do all the production at first. He subbed that out to some other people, but then as it grew, he started growing the production that we have. So it started with one press and one printer. I believe that was around 97.
Mhm.
So, 6 years in, he started doing his own production. And so now, we have a 50,000 square foot building and all these people and all this equipment, but it just started, one press at a time, one person,
That's
and just
cool.
grew from.
Yeah, that's super awesome. So now, like, let's fast forward to today. Obviously, you've been with the company for a bunch of years and moved up, and so, what was your first official role at the company?
Hmm. So I ran customer service, which the one thing you should know about Blue Cotton is we don't really believe in titles. So
Yeah, that's great.
the title doesn't match the responsibility and really hasn't for anyone in our company, but we just don't get hung up on that. We're just a company of
That's
like, can
awesome.
you just get the job done?
Yep.
And we pay people what they're worth and the value they bring to the company. And we don't get hung up on titles, but that is an
That's great.
adjustment to people who have tried to climb the corporate ladder for a while.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit for me too, but I was like, well, on paper, my title looks like a demotion, but my pay was better and I was managing a lot more people. So
Awesome.
our website was really popping at the time. And so I managed really all customer facing stuff. So just the customer service team. And then locally, we had a retail store because we still had like quite a local presence and there's a university in our town. So retail store was on the other side of town. It was a place where people could come in person and place their custom orders, or we sold some like retail stuff for the college. So managed both of those. I ended up kind of starting a side business for BlueCotton, not for myself, out of the retail store. Monogramming was really big, at least in the South. And so we started like an Etsy store out of there. And the thing I loved about BlueCotton at the time, and I still love today, is like if you have initiative, like no one's really standing in your way. Like you don't have to ask permission, or quite frankly, you just shouldn't ask permission. You should just do the thing. So I started this Etsy store and it grew to doing $250,000 in revenue a year. And I was just running it out of this little retail store. So, and I say I was running it like they knew I was doing it, but then I got to where I was like, well, I could turn a lot more orders if I order inventory ahead of time, just like during the busy season. So I was taking some liberties with their money, but it was working out for the company. So it's just always, there's just always this element of an entrepreneurial spirit with our employees. And like, we really encourage that forward thinking. And that's why I say like titles don't really mean anything to us. Like if there's someone who's painting screens who comes up with a great idea, like we want to hear it and we want to reward it and go from there. It's not the managers or the leaders that know it all.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny because, I do the podcast and then I own a marketing agency, right? And I'm like the first one to take out the trash, if you will, right? Like I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I delegate, but I can also do the work. And I also know that yes, I know a lot about marketing and I've been doing it a long time, but man, there's such smart people out there and my team are super smart. And it's funny because bring on a client and they're like, oh, well, I want to work with you, Jason, as the founder. And I'm like, well, actually, this person is way smarter than me. You should probably work with them, like it's so cool to have a team and a space where your employees, kind of like ours, can like, yes, a title is a title, like on paper and maybe your email signature, but they can come to me with anything. I can go to them with stuff. And there's no ego of like, hey, well, I'm the founder, I should be, dictating all this stuff. And I love that and it seemed like you guys have that culture, everything I read about you. As well. Yeah. Okay. So you did that, like, let's, roles aside or titles aside. I mean, you did a couple different things at the company before you got to be an owner, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes. And with that, like, there's no title change in there. It's just like you're doing what you're doing. So like, really until 2022, I was still managing that customer service area. Our business just changed over time though. So then in 2021, we started like an outside sales team. And I had a sales background when I was hired on. And I remember in my interview asking them, so what do you like, where are your salespeople? And they're like, we don't have any salespeople. I'm like, oh. And they're like, the website sells for us. And I was like, this is crazy. Like you don't have a sales team. And so for a long time that worked, but then like we really started to see a value in having a sales team. So created a sales team in 2021. Back in 2018, we had to like let go our HR person. And then they're like, well, you're good with people. Like, can you just do the hiring for us? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm just always like, yeah, you see a need and feel a need.
Right.
So I did it and hired a lot of people that are still working there today, but it was definitely eye-opening. I think just what happened along the way is that with every role that I took on or every little task that I helped fill, even if it was just in the interim, I almost created like a management training program for myself. And you
Oh, that's
just do
cool.
it out of like necessity. So, I stepped into HR when I needed to and
Right.
hired and learned about compliance and just people in general, even like our operations. Um, from there started a sales team. It's like, I'd done sales, but I never managed salespeople before. And it's two
Right.
different things. Doing
Yeah,
sales
that
yourself
can be a
and teaching
mission.
someone how to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. So,
Yeah.
that's a growth part. Or when we would have issues, like, our customers would call and orders were late or we were struggling for some reason. Of course, the customer service person gets yelled at.
Of course.
Um,
Yes.
I just would stick my nose into the reason why. So it's like, well, we can't get things received in time. So I would just go back and be like, well, can you teach me how to receive? Like, just so I understand how this works. And I could
Right.
pinpoint, like, well, this is our problem. We have to fix this. And it's like, okay, so that's fixed. And I go back to my job until something else breaks. And I'd be like, can you just show me what's going on? But,
Yeah, that's
some
cool.
of that is curiosity. Some of it is just like self, like protection, like protection from people. I don't want them being yelled at.
Yeah.
And then obviously the customer, like I don't like to not fulfill my word. Like if we say we can do something for you, I want to be able to come through. And so, through all of that, I just got a great education on what it takes to run a business and particularly BlueCotton. And that just allowed me to continue like walking through doors until
Yeah,
I
that's awesome.
bought the company.
That's cool. And then when you guys were like you said earlier, your website was selling, were you guys like running ads or was it just kind of word of mouth or organic? Was organic bringing in a lot of the traffic? Like,
Yeah.
how did that look?
So, if you think back to 2008, 2009, the web world was a lot different. You
Yes.
could get eyeballs on your website a lot easier than you can today. So you have to put ourselves back into that time frame. There were other people online doing the same thing, like Custom Ink was around at that time. Our businesses are very similar. There's many more now. But our website had an online design studio, still does, where customers can go online, create their own design. And at the time, our designer was developed in Flash. And it was like, which Flash is not a thing anymore, but it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a very, a huge deal back then. And so our site got picked up, maybe like Adobe site of the day. And we just got some like earned media that really just opened the floodgates. And it was literally, I wasn't with the company at the time, but my partner would say it was really just like someone opened like the floodgates. And
That's
all of a
cool.
sudden we had all these orders and really, we're building the plane while we were flying it
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
what didn't really have all the operations in place to fulfill that many orders. But I think that's just how companies are. Like you can't build everything in hopes that it comes. You have to build it
Correct.
as it and the
Yeah,
demand's there. So,
totally.
um, since then, like Flash is not something that's used anymore. Like Apple and all those operating systems don't enjoy it, and so we were a little slow to change technology when that was happening, and that really hurt us. About 2014, 2015. And
Okay.
then it kind of it's a huge project and a lot of money, and where do you go next? And then you kind of slide into the COVID years. And so anyway, in 22, when I bought out the other partner and Mike and I joined up, that's when we were just like, okay, it's time to like bet on ourselves. Like either we're going to get rid of the website or we're going to go for it. And
Right.
so we decided to go for it. And yeah, it's a process, learning everything. You asked what was bringing the traffic. There's a lot of organic traffic. They were running some ads, but nowhere near the budgets that we have today and the challenges of today. And the market's just a little bit more flooded with competitors. So it is interesting. And then, you talked about there's so many things to be done. My whole Instagram feed is just full of experts apparently on
Yeah,
SEO, video.
apparently.
I
Yeah.
know. It's just like who
Yeah.
and all these things that I'm like, oh man, I've never heard of that. And like, it's
Right.
real. I don't know how much it moves the needle, which like there's a lot of things vying for our attention. And so I have a great team on the marketing side, but I think my role is to try to decipher and discern where should we really be spending our time and resources and how quickly should we pivot when it's time to move and so
Yeah.
just kind of directing traffic in that way.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think the hardest thing, I mean, I know it's like this for me is pivoting when the right time is. I think in a certain extent, we're all a little bit slow to pivot because change is hard. And like, you take AI, for example, like I feel like I'm way behind, even though I listen to a daily podcast and I really try to keep up. And, I'm now building agents to do stuff at the agency, right? That I would never have thought possible before. And I think AI has really expanded like kind of my mindset with change because it is changing so rapidly. And, like you guys, when you have a big business, change is hard, right? Like,
And so many people depend on you.
yeah,
It's not just you.
yeah,
And it was never just me. It was just Mike. So he really just had to worry about himself or his family, which that's, enough. But when you have
yeah,
130, not just employees, but families who are depending on
yeah,
just you, like we want to be brave and bold enough to take the risk. And we're both pretty good at that, but, measured,
yeah, yeah,
not
exactly.
stupid.
Yeah,
But you have to be willing to, like I said, bet on yourself and be willing to do the hard work to back it up.
yeah, yeah. And it's tough, like I don't, I'm sure you probably didn't do any research on me, but I was actually a policeman in Los Angeles before I started the agency. And walking away from that, like people thought I was nuts, right? They're like, dude, you're starting some weird agency thing. Like, you have a good job, you have a retirement, you have all these things. Like, you know, back then in, 2010-ish or so, working from home was not a thing at
Right.
all, right? And they were like, man, you're leaving this to like work from home. Like that's dumb. Um, and but I was like, well, I'm doing it, you know?
Well, and
So
I think like that resolve is so it's what a lot of people don't have. And I really learned that I look back and I've taken a lot of chances over time where people have questioned it. And
yep,
it's like
yep.
I've heard their questions and I always thought like that's an odd thing to say. But
Yeah,
when I stepped into this role, it was different. I was married and I had a child and it was a lot of money. And I was like, if
yeah,
this doesn't go right, like, what does that mean for us? So it was a little bit of a risk, but I quickly realized that like you just can't poll the audience for opinion. It's you have to just like be able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to working for somebody else. And
yeah.
um, but you just have to be like resolute enough in your own choices that you're like, I can withstand all the other stuff, but the opinions are really unnecessary. But they
Yeah,
will,
well, yeah, and a lot of people just don't understand, right? Like, especially in the police world, like you go to work every day, you don't do something on your own. You don't think for yourself. Hey, you've got to be here at a certain time to start your shift, and you do all these things throughout your shift, and thinking on your own and doing things on your own just like doesn't compute with a lot of guys.
yeah.
And the norm is you work for 25, 30 years, retire, probably have a heart attack at the end or something, or you have to continue working because like in Los Angeles, it's a very expensive place to live. And, it's hard. Right. And I
Yeah.
agree. And you always hear like the Elon Musks and, the entrepreneurs in the world, like people don't understand what they're doing until it works. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing. Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
weren't supporting me before.
Right.
So it can be very hard and it can be lonely sometimes too, you being an owner. And it is cool that you guys have a lot of employees, and I like how you call them family because I'm kind of the same way. Um, but let's talk about. So I want to talk maybe a couple things here. Number one, I think I want to chat about your employees and what you guys are doing on the Bitcoin side of things because that is super cool. Um, I think more companies should adopt doing this. And then maybe let's chat about like what you guys are doing now for marketing and all that. And so on the employee side, like share what you guys are doing and how this idea came about and how you guys executed on it.
Yes. So, it's really interesting because being the former employee,
Yeah.
like not every employee would choose to buy the company, but every employee understands what it's like to be an employee, right? So I definitely had a heart for what it's like to be on that side of it. Um, my partner Mike has never been an employee, and so it's just a little bit, that's great. Like I've learned a lot from him, but I think he's learned a lot from me of like here's how we need to handle this, or here's how we need to communicate it. I think it's just underestimated how much the team wants to hear from the leaders just about what's happening.
Sure.
They don't need to know every detail, but they want to know, like, tell me the vision, tell me where we're going, help me understand like my part in it. Like, I want to help. Like, people want to contribute, whether you believe it or not, like they actually do. And so we were pretty clear on like how we wanted to move forward with that and just be a little bit more thoughtful. You know, we were having record-breaking year for revenue and even bottom line. And, you know, we kept like encouraging the team. And I just told them, I was like, listen, we can't continue standing up in front of them and saying like, we're having a record-breaking year, but like nothing changes for them.
I love
like
that.
That's going to go sour like really fast.
Yeah,
and so
I love that.
Back in 2020, we had gotten some PPP money just through COVID. We never shut down. Mike was so like strong with that. Like, we're not shutting down. Like, if we shut down, it's done. It was already hard enough to stay open because our business depends on people getting together in person wearing the same garment. So
yeah,
it was already a bit of a challenge, but you know, it was uncertain at the very beginning and our people didn't waver. They continued coming in, even when like schools were shut down and their spouses and kids were at home, like they kept coming in. And so when we had gotten some of those funds, I mean, it was a terrible year revenue and profit wise. I mean, that was the first year I bought in and that's the year I got. You know, I was like, I'm not going to be able to even make my payment on this first year.
Yeah.
But we decided to give some of that money to our employees to help them out as a thank you.
Awesome.
Because they'd all come in and there wasn't any complaints and people were done their job. So we went out on the floor, announced that we were going to give out $30,000. And it was, you know, you get a certain amount if you're full-time, certain amount if you're part-time. And everyone was so excited and cheered. And it was like so thankful and, you know, it felt great. So then fast forward 2 years later, when things are going really well, you know, Mike was like, hey, what if we do that again and we do $40,000, which I was like, yeah, I mean, like that would be great. And we can do it.
And at the time you guys did that, it was still 130 employees.
Yeah, we've always been like 115 to 130. Okay, so yeah.
Cool.
And so we were about to do this and Mike was talking to one of our most responsible employees, like, he's 40 years old, has his house paid off type of person.
Cool. Yeah.
And he was like, hey, do you remember when we did this? And he's like, yeah, I do remember. And Mike's like, well, how much money did you get? I can't remember how much we paid everyone. And that employee just looked at him and was like, you know, I don't remember. And
interesting.
That flew all over Mike because he was like, we gave away $30,000. Like Mike's like, I'll never forget giving away $30,000. He'll sell you. He didn't make $30,000 a year for many years. And so he came down to my office. He's like, we're not giving out cash. Like, they don't even remember what they got, you know?
That's true.
And so, you know, what I would say about that is like, it was very impactful at the time, but we're talking, it was either $500 or $250 per person, depending on full-time or part-time. And so that money for people who might live paycheck to paycheck, I mean, it was spent, it might've been spent that day, it was spent that week, you know, on great things, you know, bills or whatever they had going on. But like, it's just, it doesn't last very long. And so, you know, Mike's whole thing was like, what can I give them that they'll never forget? He was already down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I, not so much. I mean, I knew about it, not very much about it, but he was like, you know, what if we give away Bitcoin to them and they don't get it right now? So we'll invest $40,000 in Bitcoin. And if they stay for 5 years, then we'll give them like a payout. So like, we're investing on their behalf. And I was like, you know, I mean, Mike's a pretty successful guy and there was a good buzz around it. And I was like, the only people that will lose out of this is us. Like if it tanks, that's our money that we've lost. It was not at any risk to, you know, the personal capital of our employees. And if it's a great thing, then they win and I'm all for that. So like, let's just do it. And again, like our employee morale wasn't like super high at the time. Like we were just getting started on this. And so, you know, we came out, we decided to do mining because Mike really wanted to learn about mining. So we came out, made the announcement. I mean, there wasn't like all these cheers and stuff like when we gave them the cash. They were just kind of like, okay, like this is crazy, but whatever, like thanks. I mean, we had a couple people who were like, why wouldn't they just give us the money? But you know, not much buzz about it. But then we decided to keep
they just didn't understand Bitcoin, probably. You know,
didn't understand. There was nothing to be handed out that day.
Right.
It wasn't really affecting them at the time.
Yeah.
So what we did is we decided to mine. We had the miners on site, which turned out to be really good because it was just like this tangible thing that like our people could see and hear working. And so for something that felt elusive, like Bitcoin, digital currency, they could
Totally.
point to something of like, that's what it is. And so as soon as we announced that in June of 22, by December of 22, it like tanked down pretty good. And so we're like, well, let's just buy up some coins at this point. So in 2022, we invested 120,000 on their behalf for like 3 years of payouts. So we're like, if you stay here for 5 years, you'll get your first payout in 2027. And then if you're, here in 23 and you're still here in 2028, you'll get the second payout, so forth, so on. So at this point, we've invested $200,000 of our money on behalf of our people. Back in October of last year when it was doing really well, that was, more than $10,000 per person that was there. It's dropped down a little bit right now, but we do believe that will go back up. But really, Bitcoin was like the first step in like us just trying to enhance the lives of our people that really led us down this road of doing all these other really crazy things for people. I won't say they're crazy. They're just like out of the box. They are not like your typical benefits list that you see on a job description. So, the next thing we started doing is like, we need to level up our people. Like I just told Mike, I was like, it can't just be me and you thinking about the business. Like we need other people thinking with us. So we started with a group of managers and trying to build them up as leaders. And it was very quick that we learned, like, we're not there yet. Like, there's just like, we have to build them up as people before we can even get to the leadership part.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which was kind of hard to like realize because we're like, some of these people have been with us for a long time at this point, and we really weren't looking at them. We were looking at ourselves of like, we've not served them well by not teaching them this before. But we realized like there was a lot of just issues with financial management, like their own personal finances. And we're like, well, how can they even think about the business profitably if they can't manage their own money? Or there was just like personal, just the way people felt, confidence issues or just all kinds of things. So we started meeting and we would read books about like your mindset. And there's this book called Soundtracks by John and Kev that just talks about like the soundtracks that run in your head and how you talk to yourself. We, did talk some about leadership, or we did talk about like customer service, just how you treat other people and how that makes them feel like from a business standpoint. And then we very quickly realized the financial component to that. And at first we started sending people who wanted to go to like Dave Ramsey Financial Peace. We paid for them and their spouse or whoever they shared bills with. So we had some people go, and then we ended up adding the Smart Dollar, which is a program they have, and we just do it for free. So people can do budgeting, they can do their taxes for free, they can have financial counseling every month. They have all these like tools. So like our people have really grabbed onto that. We started teaching them about nutrition, and we started doing more financial literacy just on site about, like national debt and how to read your pay stub and how to budget and about Bitcoin. And so we just started pouring into our people on an individual level with just the mission of like helping to make their lives better. We weren't there to like have anybody adopt any of our beliefs or anything like that. We were simply there to expose people to new ideas and possibly things they've never thought of before. It was up to them if they were going to adopt it. But we were like, you at least should have all of the information in front of you for you to make a decision. And then from there, we read this book. It was recommended to us at this entrepreneurship thing we went to called The Dream Manager. And it's a true story of a cleaning company in Ohio. But essentially they ended up hiring people to come in and help coach their employees along for their personal dreams. And it was just like such a crazy story that we were like, should we do that? And so we had our people read it. And it just became very clear that like, I think we had one person say, dreams, like, I don't have any dreams.
Yeah, right.
And it just struck me so, I don't know, I can still remember like the whole room when he said that, because I was just like, man, like I have dreams. I was like, they aren't like thriving. They're just surviving. Like
Hmm.
they're just trying
Hmm.
to get through the day, get through the
Yep.
week, make it to the next paycheck. Like they're not thinking about anything bigger. And like we just know when people are striving for something or going after a goal or chasing their dreams, they're just more content. They're more productive. They're
Motivated.
happier to be
Yep.
around. And
Yep.
those are the kind of people we want to be around. So we're like, okay, like something has got to change around here. And so that really just shifted our focus. And then back in November of last year, we hired 3 dream managers to come in. And
No way.
so we
Cool.
pay the dream manager and we pay the employee to spend an hour a month together. We don't know what they talk about unless they want to tell us, but they're just pursuing their own dreams. Much of that does have a financial component to it. Finances just seem to be the thing that at least people think are in the way of their dreams. And so
Yeah.
talking through that, setting plans in place, but we're hoping that one day all of our people are meeting with dream managers because it is fun to see the people who are meeting with them and just the transformation they make. And just there's a hopefulness in their
Yeah.
eyes. It's like they are living with purpose. And so when that happens, that's the person that they bring into our business, like the more purpose driven
Yeah.
person. And they treat their work a little different because their work is a way to that purpose. It's helping fuel that. They take that person home. They're better like spouses and friends and
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
They're the ones coaching your kids' ball teams, or they're the ones buying houses next door to you. It's like those are the kind of people that we want to put out into the community and bring into our business. So I think that all the things we're doing, we did not set out to do this. We just set out to like make the business better. It was
Yeah.
just like, the next best decision. And we saw a need and we're like, we can fill this need. And really just the biggest investment was our time. And it's completely changed just the culture of our company. And, now we can develop leaders. It's not just about developing people. Like we develop people first, develop leaders second, and they're starting to take care of each other. And there's just, I can sit here for more than an hour and tell you all the things that have happened because of that. But
So cool.
I think that's going to look different for every business. But I think it's, see a need, fill a need, just for the sake of filling it. And it's turned around and been a great benefit to us. Like I mentioned in 2021, at that end of the year, our turnover was 108% and last year was 14%. And
That's so cool.
it's not just because we got better. We did get better at hiring, but that's not the only reason. Like it's the community and the culture that we have that's kept people here.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool to hear that you guys have spent so much time, effort on just making your people better. They always say that like it's always easier to retain a client than to lose them and try to like find somebody else because, and it's the same concept with employees, right? It's like
For sure.
improve them and, and it probably goes without saying there's probably some people that didn't want to do it or still probably don't want to do it. And there's like, this is dumb. But if everybody around them is doing it, it'll probably push them to do the same thing. And
yeah, or they opt out. Like that's what happened. I think it's the responsibility of the leader, or in our case, like the owners of the company, to be so super clear about who you are and where you're going. That clarity provides freedom, not only for us, but for our team, because the people who wanted that were all on board. The people who are like, you know what, like that's not for me. There's nothing wrong with those people. Like it's
Right.
okay if like what we're doing doesn't align with your values. It gave them the freedom to go look for something else. And they did. And so we're very clear about who we are now in hiring. So not to say that everyone like marches to the beat of the same drum. Like we all are individuals. We have different beliefs and whatever, but when we're inside that building, we're pushing towards one goal. And, we don't accept any distraction from that. So
That's awesome.
It's just amazing. Like when you get clarity, what can happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too. You reminded me of a book I read a few years ago that said that if you don't hire people based on your core values and your mission, and they're not invested in that, they're going to end up leaving. You're going to have to fire them every single time. And I look back on all the people that I've hired and, I'm not the best hiring manager by any means, but like I look back on that and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's true.
Yeah.
That is, and same with you guys, right? It's like, this is our mission. This is what we would love for you to do. If you don't want to do it, eventually it's probably going to come to an end, you
Yeah,
know?
it
Yeah.
will. And there'll just be this friction the whole time. I mean, to your point about keeping a customer versus having to go get a new
Hmm.
one, the difference in that is that you can trace the dollar value to that customer. And what we always say is that turnover is the hidden tax on business. And if we knew the true cost of that, that's a problem we would solve immediately. Because
Totally.
when we, had 108% turnover, half of our positions didn't leave, but we were having to hire 140 people for about 65 positions in that
Right.
year. And so what that does to morale, what that does to like our quality of work, because you have new people doing it, like it's not good and they can't move as fast. And so that's where it's like keeping our people has like our investment in our people has actually been our investment in our customers, because they
Yep.
can do
Yep.
better work and they're
Yep.
happier. And so the output is greater at a higher quality. And then our customers have rewarded us. So it's such a long game,
Yeah.
because it's just easier to hire really great people, but not everybody can afford A players in every single position in their company. And
Yeah.
so what do you do in the meantime? So it's the
Yeah.
long.
Well, and I think you probably solved a lot of your customer service issues by
Oh,
hiring the
for
right
sure.
people, right? Like,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I probably didn't even realize you were doing that at the time when,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were solving for something completely different, and what we didn't realize is like how much it was at the root of every other problem. There just wasn't a clear through line to all of
Yeah.
it, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love the fact that you spent so much time talking about your team, um, what you've done better to, again, for them, not just for you guys, right? Not just for leadership, but for the company as a whole and employees themselves to make themselves better personally. And that does have a direct reflection. But, it's funny because I always know when people are going through personal hardships because they're not fully here, right?
Yeah,
They're not fully, I have to be like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Oh, I'm going through this, and whatever." And if their personal life is put together and better, as well as mine too, right? Like my personal life as
sure.
well. If things are humming along, and my wife and I are great, and our kids are good, and everything's kind of humming along, and I'm not making stupid mistakes like I like I do, everything just flows better, right? And that's
Right.
not only for employees but for me too. You
Yeah.
know. Um,
We started these like weekly reports that it's like this little tool, and we ask everybody to fill it out, and like they rate like workload, morale, stress level, and then they can tell us like a high and a low and whatever. And so we're like, well, 130 people, we can't get around everyone like we used to. Like this would just be a great way for us to understand what's happening in the company. And the most surprising thing is that most of the time what they reported on had nothing to do with work. It was always personal
mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
And at first we're like, I mean, what's happening here? But it just shows that like, well, this is their high or low from the week that just spilled into everything else. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
think that when our culture did start to take a shift is when I did see like more of those reports are about like their highs and lows at work, just maybe things stabilized more at home.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like now what we're in is like we're having a baby boom this year. So we have like 13 babies being born
No
to
way.
employees this year.
Well,
And
that's
I just think
cool.
like we had nothing to do with that, by the way, but I
Right.
think that some of the things that we've taught have like just given people more security and more ability and freedom to like move forward with their life too. So
That's super.
um yeah, it's just very like you cannot get away from the personal stuff as much as you don't want to.
Yeah.
So
Totally. Yeah. And that's, I know that better than anybody, being a policeman for so long. It's like
yeah,
you try to separate the stuff you saw and the bad things you saw, but it always bleeds into home. Always,
yeah,
somehow or another. All right. Well, we've been going for 43 minutes. Again, I love the fact that have talked so much about your employees and how to make them better, and that in turn made the company better. But real quick, let's just kind of recap. Um, what are you guys doing right now for marketing? Are you running Meta ads? Are you running Google? Are you doing email? Like, what is it that you guys are doing that's working? And maybe what are you doing that's not working right now for the
yeah.
marketing side?
Okay, so we are doing everything.
Cool. Yeah.
And and having we wouldn't continue doing things that weren't working. But like I have some marketing background and more of it's just intuition, like not necessarily formally trained on anything. But Mike and I have taken on the marketing piece of it for the last few years. We haven't had expertise in the building until about a year ago.
Okay.
And so we were really just trying to figure it out and working with a lot of agencies, and you're an agency yourself. So,
Yep.
you, I'm sure, are a good guy with a lot of great intention, but we went through several agencies that maybe
The
it's
agency.
hard,
It's
right?
hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
find a good agency. Yeah, for sure. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I will say that we've incorporated AI just to help us have a little bit more handle of what's happening. We still work with agencies, and it's really important to find the right one. I say interview until you feel very comfortable with that person. We realize that we're a little bit different, that we're the owners of the company, so that when we talk to agencies, it's our money we're talking about. So that does add a layer of
Sure.
urgency to the conversation that they wouldn't have with just like a marketing manager that's reporting up a chain. So
Yep.
we do realize that maybe we're a little more intense at times, but at the same time, we can move a lot faster. Like we're not looking
Yeah.
for, like, we approve what we need to approve.
Sure.
We are using AI to analyze our account performances on Google and Meta, not to replace our agency, but for us to be better informed and to ask better questions and just to push the envelope. We realize our agency has lots of other customers. They're not maybe looking at our account every single day, but we can look at our account every day and then ask the questions. We still very much depend on their expertise. And so that's what's worked for us. Maybe there are other people out there who have like really strong backgrounds that they would feel comfortable making those decisions. But like what I do know is I know my business and I know our customers. I don't know the ins and outs of all these platforms or how they work or the different nuances of them.
You
So
shouldn't have to. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if I can bring what I know to the table, with like very good questions and just like context and put it in front of our agency partners, then that has like really improved the relationship and quite frankly, the performance over the last couple months. So we have really nearly doubled our ROAS on Meta and Google. Like we're really pushing the envelope of like we're just not accepting low performance. We used to be like, well, it's not doing great, but we'll hold, not knowing what to do. So do some different things there. We just got on Chat GPT ads.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. We're doing some stuff on Pinterest and being just minimal. And then, we do email. We everything.
Do it
and
all.
So
Yeah. So do you have an agency? Like, I always like to ask this question. Do you have an agency, like an all-in-one agency that's running everything for you? Or are you kind of like, okay, I have a Meta agency, I have a Google agency, I have an email agency. How do you guys do it?
So we used to have it segmented, but now we do have one agency that's doing Google, Meta, Chat, Pinterest, Bing. We do emails internally, and we actually do our ad creation internally. Like we serve up the creative. They are doing the placements and like strategy on that end. And we collaborate on budget and then, just some different things there. So we've gotten more confidence over time of like what works or what doesn't work. And we are goofy enough just to try different things on creative. And we're just like, well, what do we have to lose? Like it's ours. So we're really just trying to build up enough creative to have like a good testing field, which we're there now. So just see how many ads we can throw on the board and then quickly turn off the ones that aren't working and try to learn from the ones that are.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. I think more brands are probably trying to get more to like an all-in-one agency, model. Sometimes the downfall to that is they're mediocre at all of them and not really good at one of them, I know like with our agency, we started out with just Meta. We were Meta only for many, many years, got really good at it, and then slowly started adding on other services once we, had a really good handle on, the Meta side of things. Because in my opinion, just based on my experience, I think Meta is probably the most complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. There's so many changes that happen so rapidly over there. We're kind of lucky. We're at the highest level of partnership, so we get to go to in-person events and trainings and things like that. Like we kind of, it's super cool to hear the latest and greatest is coming down the pipeline sometimes before other advertisers do, which is cool
Very
for us.
good.
Yeah, but it's even then it's hard to keep up with everything. So, but I love that you guys are also doing, creatives in house as well. I know for us, there was many years where I'm like, okay, I'm not letting the customer do creatives anymore because we're getting blamed for everything. Like, oh, why aren't our click-through rates X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, well, your creatives aren't very good, so let us just do those,
Yeah.
But it's really cool that you guys are doing it yourself, and it's getting good results, because that can be hard with a brand doing their own creatives. Can owners sometimes get in the way, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it
I
can be hard to
do.
tell them that,
And that's what we tell everybody. Like, Mike and I are the most critical about our business. Like, there's nothing anyone could tell me about business that I would be like, I can't believe you said that. And
Right,
I'm
I'm
like, no,
offended.
tell me more.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and that would be my advice really to anybody. And I think like that's what got me in a position from being an employee to an owner, is just having this like desire, like this curiosity that cannot be satisfied,
that's
really.
cool.
Like, I'm just
Yeah,
an avid reader. I listen to probably 10 podcasts a week. Like, if I'm doom scrolling, it's for like not just looking at my friends' kids. It's like
right,
they're
right.
I'm learning something, and then I'm like, well, is that true? And I go down this rabbit hole. And so my partner does the same thing. We are looking at different stuff. So then we come together. It's like, well, have you heard this? And so we're just like constantly fighting for the good for our
That's awesome.
company. And we're not scared to pivot, but we don't want to whiplash anybody of like changing our mind. It's like, okay, we've got to figure out the path and go
Yeah,
forward. But things are changing so quickly that we do feel like you can't sit back and just do what's always been working. Like, we've got to try
yeah,
everything, and
yeah.
we like to always keep an underdog mentality to keep us
That's
hungry.
great. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, it's great to hear that you guys are having success with Meta. I feel like, you know, even as on the agency side of things, like I feel like more brands are not on Meta or they want to be more, but they don't feel like they can, just because they don't have the infrastructure, or they just don't know how to, do it. And I love the fact that you guys are learning and growing on Meta, that you have a good relationship with your agency, because that's important. It is like a relationship, right? I
It
mean,
is.
you have to like the people you're working with on the agency side, and we have to like the customers we're working with, and
Yeah.
believe in what we're doing for them, because I think that makes a big difference. Like for us, I'd much rather take on a client that I have experience with and that I really love what they're doing, rather than, oh yeah, they just need to sell products, like
Right. I mean, I
it's
think so
crazy.
many people make the mistake of hiring an agency and just think that they can, like, okay, I've hired them and I'm walking away from it. Like,
Yeah,
and honestly, I think treated it like that a while ago, but we realized like, no, like we have to treat this group like a team member. We have to bring them in on
correct.
everything and share everything and give them
Yep.
context and like put just as much time into it as if we were hiring a full-time employee. So
Yeah, I love
once we
that.
did that, once we shifted our behavior, that has also helped. And then you find really quickly if you're right with the right people.
Yeah, and I always say that too. Like my first thing I say in onboarding is like, we want to be an extension of your team, not just like, well, I don't really know what Jason and his team does, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to know what we're doing.
Yes.
If not, then it's not going to be. This isn't going to work.
Right.
So,
For sure.
Julie, thank you so much for being on today. Again, love the fact how you guys are bettering the company by bettering your employees, and just making them personally better, and that I think reflects on everything that you guys are doing. Super cool that you're doing the whole Bitcoin thing. I'll have to follow up with you in about a year and say, hey, how much was the payout to the employees, because that's
Yeah,
going to be super
their
cool.
first payout is the end of next year. So this year we're in adoption, and all like bonuses and prizes are being given out in Bitcoin, so that everyone has to get
Crazy.
their wallet and become comfortable. So
That's cool.
we have a lot of believers, and
A lot of non-believers too, probably, right? Or people that are like, I don't know.
well, I mean, it's like of no risk to them, so they're like, well, it can't hurt,
Yeah, that's true.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
hopeful.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for being on. If someone wants to reach out to you, to find out more information about the company or even to place an order, how do they do that?
Yes. We'd love to help you with your order. It's BlueCotton.com. You can reach out to me, Julie at BlueCotton.com, or my partner, Mike at BlueCotton.com. I'm on all the socials as Jules or Julie. So either way, would love to connect with people. It's like my favorite thing to do. So
awesome. Yeah.
Meet more interesting people and chat about it.
Yeah. And I'll put all this in the show notes. So if you want to just directly click over and contact Julie, you'll be able to do that. But again, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. And let's stay in touch. I'd love to follow up in, a year or so, maybe have a part 2 of the podcast where, like, hey, we got the payout. This is what happened. Like, that would be kind of cool. So
yes, I would love that.
All right. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll see you again next time. Be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.